Told him, I said, right there sits the fire extinguisher. You give a hoot about your old daddy. You will stop this or you will turn around and leave here. He just let her burn. And that's what burnt my home up.
It's a pretty view to say so myself, eh? Over there's the devil rooster. He knows if he gets in front of the house trailer, I'm not going to shoot him. I've come close to making dumplings. Well, he comes over here, he's figured out that I put out cat food for Sherbert. Well, he'll come over here, sneak up on the porch, and eat the cat food, and then leave me his deposits. But he's just a little personality out here pecking around, hunting something to eat, like everything and everybody, I guess.
Tell me your name and then tell me who is Mike Hawks.
Okay. I'm Mike Hawks. I live in between Fancy Gap 52 and 77 under the Blue Ridge Parkway. When I found something that I was good at, I tried to make it better. I tried to go farther with it. And in drag racing, all the years I started when I graduated high school in 77. And I raced till really actually probably to early 2000s when my diabetes and stuff got really bad and I had to stop. It really actually started when I was about 16.
I lost the big toe first. I don't care what you do, how you do, because it's touching the ground, you have a tendency to create some kind of infections. Well, I ended up having to take all the toes off of this one. And on the leg that I had here, thing about it was I found gangrene in my ankle, hadn't busted and come out like it would on my toes. It was inside and it was eating up bone, and that was why it was so critical to get it took off below the knee to start with. When I fell, it broke the main femur bone in this leg, so I lost it above the knee. When I hit the ground, it folded it in and just snapped the main femur, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever had and I've ever felt. One of the nurses showed me a CD of the x-ray. My best explanation looked like you took a corn stalk and twisted it, and it just splintered, come completely in two. But it was because of the weakness of the calcium in my bones, the bone disease I got when I was a teenager.
Jody was interested in bull riding. He had done some bull riding, and he started at a late age. You think 26 years old is not old, and it's not. But for bull riders, they start as teenagers. And time went on, and Jody met was his wife, and two odder people never met in their life. She's just a pretty little old black-headed princess, and he is an old rough, tobacco-chewing, dip-in-the-lip cowboy. And that's the truth. And in King, there was an old bar called a corral. Cowboy hearts, everywhere. They had a mechanical bull. Well, Jody got on the bull, and that guy tried his best to throw him off. He turned him, twisted him. I mean, everything that you can do with a mechanical joystick to throw somebody off. He stuck to it like glue. That was how he was. He was like a cat walking on a 2x4. He could walk it. It didn't matter. He was balanced. He had the balance. Well, when the guy stopped and when Jody stepped down, the first thing hit my mind when he went to falling, I was like, oh, Lord, he's going to be so embarrassed. He hit the phone and then bounced over onto the floor, reaching down to get his hat. That's what I thought it was about, and he just maybe got a little dizzy. Turned out that he died right there. He took his last breath in my arms. I held him and prayed. I didn't know what else to do. 2 nurses in there, they came over and tried to do CPR, and nothing happened. By then, the rescue squad had came and took him out to a little local emergency room, a branch of Baptist Hospital in King, where they pronounced him dead. Told me he'd call his wife and his mom and dad, but you cannot tell them that he's died. Don't say a word. You cannot. I don't like lying. I don't like feeling like I'm lying. But I know that this was important because of her being that far pregnant, that she could lose the baby. I understood what the doctor told me. They finally, when they got there, it was... And me having to look at them while the doctors told them, and I know they had questions in their mind. Well, why didn't you tell us? We needed to know. When me and Jody was going to Texas, he said, when I die, I want you to sing a dance. I said, well, I'll do it. That night, when they told me he was dead, that crossed my mind. Hardest thing I ever had to do. As I said, I know it's not our fault. It's not my fault. But any human being that says he wouldn't blame himself is lying to himself, because you were the reason they were coming. We had a produce market in Yakinville. Worked there for 30-some years. We had it. I've always worked with my dad, always till he passed away in 2008. My dad's great. My dad was awesome. He one of the smartest men you'll ever meet. He could build anything. And he took, helped me in every way he could, but he wanted me to do it. One time I tore the rear end out of one of my Chevelles, a 66 Chevelle I had. Tore the rear end out of it. You're not doing what you ought to have been doing. He didn't fuss. He'd come down there with his Ford pickup and a chain and pull me home. You know what he said? He said, Lord, I love to pull them Chevrolets with my Ford. Set it out there, and I went taking it out, going to fix it. That's how we worked together. I was saved when I was 10 years old in Bible school. We would always have Bible school over at Paul's Creek Church. Best thing ever done. My dad had never accepted Christ. He's a good man. Lord mercy. Provided for his family. You couldn't draw a picture no better. But he wasn't saved. We'd all been praying for Daddy. We went to church on Sunday morning. Lord have mercy. What a service we had. He didn't wait for hardly the first verse of the altar call to be played on the piano. He was up there at the altar wanting to be saved, wanting God to come into his soul. Went right over here in this old creek. Me and my daddy, Glenda, and there'd be as many sometimes as 11 and 12 people get baptized. We'd all wear dark colored pants and white shirts. Women would wear white dresses. Anyway, we all got baptized together. Oh, it's awesome. Awesome. Best feeling? Oh, if we could buy peace in a bottle, that would just put that in the bottle and sell it,
look at these. Oh, this is old pictures from a junkyard, a pedal car junkyard that a person had somewhere, sometime. This is all the ones that rolling and ready. Then this is a pile of junk ones for parts. A little better close up, this is the pile. And this is a bulldozer getting ready to mash them all up to recycle the metal. And it's so amazing because one of these cars now, complete new, or not new, not a reproduction, but one of them old cars, I mean, you could be getting $1,500, $2,000 out of, more on certain ones. But these pictures were some that he had found somewhere. Mike had found them. And they're amazing when you look at the pictures of all those old cars.
About 4 years ago, there's a little auction page here in Mount Airy, next to where we are, called Surrey County Live Auction, is what it was called then. Now it's called Wheeling and Dealing. But that was me and Mike. We sold toys forever. We would work live auctions. We'd go to auctions, and they'd call us the Mike and Mike Show. We'd been buddies for 40 years from through the drag racing. About 4 years ago, he brought me some things. He said, put them on that auction page. I had stuff too at that point in time before the fire. I had a lot of stuff, even that lost in the fire. But he would bring me stuff, and I would sell it on a percentage. It helped me make money. He knew I needed to. He knew that was the only income I had. But Mike brought me some stuff. I don't remember what it was. Some die-cast cars, tractors. That's what we sold. He brought it to me. First week, his part was $30-some. So when I handed it to him, he went cha-ching. That was his famous line. He said, man, I didn't think this would bring anything. I said, oh, we scratched the surface. Well, before it was done, he kept buying everything. I mean, from old antique stuff to old antique toys. He stayed a lot in the toy line, you know. But anyway, before it was over, there was weeks that we were selling, and I was taking him $1,000, $1,500 at a time. And after I got my part out, and it was amazing, totally amazing. Me and him, we got to talking about something and laughing, and he said something about, boy, he's ready going into Unify tomorrow. And I said, well, you know, you can quit. I said, you've been there 40 years. I said, Mike, you're 58 years old. You can live to you're 70, 80 years old before you need anything. I said, you're going to get to draw a little. I said, go on, quit and enjoy it. Get into the toy business full time. Quit this other stuff. This angle. And he was the old school man. He was the old school people. He was the kind of people that when you start something, you finish it. He started and he could retire at 59. That Monday night we talked about, I remember it was 9 o'clock, because sometimes we'd talk for 3 or 4 hours. And then I said, well, buddy, I said, have a good night. I said, go on in tomorrow and tell them you're leaving that place. All right. Well, about 10:30, 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning, one of his friends from down there, his cousin, had called him to come down there because they couldn't get in the house. He'd had everything locked up. And when they finally got in the house, they found him sitting there on the couch in the same spot with phone where we'd talked. But with Mike, he was one of them kind of people, he could see through your mistakes. He could see through all that stuff. He was blessed. He was saved. He was saved. Matter of fact, I found one of his Sunday school books and a bunch of books they gave me from 1988 when he got saved and joined church. But his cousin and his other cousin, he left them in charge of his estate. And we got all these toys. I brought a pickup load in. And I mean, I've sold like crazy. Thank the Lord, I've sold like crazy. So I'm going to try to sell it all out for him. When it's done, it's done. When we get done with that, that'll be the last I'll sell for Mike. I don't know what I ever done to deserve people like him in my life, but thank God for that. Thank God for his friendship and what a blessing he's been to my life. in 98, 99, somewhere in that area, I got to wanting to get married. All my sisters and brothers are having young'uns. I didn't have no young'uns, and I thought, well, I'm going to get married. Me and her hit it off pretty good, and we got married in 99. And we stayed married. We moved back up here. We lived in Yakinville. She was from Winston, Salem. We moved up here to Cana. I had basically pretty much quit racing. I would drive a car once in a while for McQuarrie. I would drive a car once in a while, but I just didn't have the interest. I didn't feel good because I had the diabetes problem. In 2003 is when I had to quit my business. But we were getting up in our years. You know, we was getting up near 40. So we knew we was running out of time. So we decided we wanted a child. And I didn't want to pass the problem I had, if it's genetic, I didn't want to pass that on to a child. Well, next thing is foster care. Foster care is the quickest way into adoption. So we decided we'd go that route. And in 2004, we got Manny. Manny was born in 2002, in March 30th of 2002. They brought him a little chunk. He wasn't nothing but a chunk. I mean, he's a little old chunk of fella. Well, we fell in love with him when he walked in the door. That little old eyes. Lord have mercy. I mean, he was just the sweetest little old feller, looking for somebody to love him. Before that evening was out, he was calling me Daddy and Hope Mom. That lady, when she brought him in, she said, Mr. Hawks, said, now he's rambunctious. Said he'd always been strapped down in a stroller by his biological mom and dad, and just hauled him around to the basketball courts or wherever they ended up. And he never been, he never got out. He never got to see things. He wanted to go exploring. I had a bunch of old junk trucks and stuff. I was junking stuff by then. It was in probably, up about 2006, 2007. I left one day, left him with Mom and Dad. He loved them. Oh, he loved them. They loved him. Daddy called me, don't be mad. Don't be mad. It's going to be okay. We're going to find him. They'd called every neighbor around here, and there's everybody searching for him. He'd got gone. Lord of mercy. I said, Daddy, go out there, throw them trucks somewhere. He's hiding somewhere from y'all. Not on purpose, not trying to be mean. He just wanted to go. And sure enough, Daddy called me right back and said, yeah, he was out there under an old 2-ton truck. You had to sit out there hiding. Said he was fine. Said he was sitting there just watching, looking around. I said, see, I said, that's the thing about him. But I said, you got to keep your eye on him if you want to keep up with him. Yeah, he went, and he was an athlete. Oh, Lord, what a little athlete. He went through life, and, he could play anything. He was just good at it. He picked it up. You didn't have to tell him. First touchdown, he run, I couldn't help it. I was so happy, and I've always had this bad leg and stuff, can't run. Ain't been able to run in 40 years. But Manny was going down through there, he cut back just like a big time football. I always tell him, I said, when they start to hit you, spin you a circle and go back the other way. Sure enough, he had listened that day. He spun a circle, he went back, and they didn't catch him, and I was running down the side. Go, Manny, go. He scored a touchdown, won the game. Oh, man, that was something. Manny is a good kid, but Manny has a lot of the drug-infested issues. And we went to therapy and a psychiatrist up here at Mount Rogers from the time he was probably 6 till probably when he was around 14. All those years. ADHD, which a lot of kids got it, that showed the activeness of him. The ADHD, the RADS is reactive attachment disorder. He was diagnosed with that when he was around 5, 6 years old. And that was from where mom never bonded with him. But the chemical imbalances we never did really get into, because there's something you can't change them, you can't do them. Whatever's in a kid's system is going to stay in his system when it's been a drug type deal through pregnancies and stuff. He takes meds for depression because they're afraid, he get depressed. But he's never had a problem with depression, but it keeps him level. The med he takes keeps him leveled out. If he don't take it, now you can see the difference in him. Well, as Manny got older and in his later teenage, like 13, 14 years old, he got to being real disrespectful and stuff. He'd pushed Hope a few times, and Hope had called when he was living with Hope, she'd call the town cops to come out. Well, Manny goes to that home up in Jacksonville next to Richmond. The judge ordered it. And then when he come back from Jacksonville, he was a totally different kid. He was 16, 17, and he had just learned enough up there. He had guided him in a lot of bad directions. Well, Manny was smoking pot, and I knew he was, and I knew he'd got into selling it. He went to his biological mom's. He went up there and stayed for 3 days. It didn't work out because of his behaviors. He went to his grandmother's in Winston, stayed 2 weeks, maybe a month, and had to leave because it didn't work out. He wouldn't listen. Well, these neighbors that was living in this rent house at the time, I knew they were into all kinds of drugs. Well, Manny had told me that he had run into this guy at a couple different dope locations when he was living in Mount Airy with a friend. Yeah, that just added to it. Well, a neighbor, he was just out of his mind one day, and he had been down here and got some of the meth that this dude had started making. And I said, Bud, what in the world, man? You're just doing so good. What are you doing? What are you doing back here? Makes no sense. And what it was, this guy had always smoked a lot of pot, and I didn't realize he'd even done a lot of hard drugs. But they got to lacing the pot with the meth. Manny would sleep 8-10 hours a night like a lot of kids do. And plus, when he was taking all these meds, a lot of times it would wake him up, so they had him taking melatonin. Melatonin used for sleep. Well, Manny was taking his melatonin because I took care of his meds, just like I did when he was little. I took care of his meds, made sure he took them. So, Manny was getting up every 2-3 hours, which is highly unusual, but you could have a kidney infection and have to. I understand, but I got to watch him more than that. I called him out there 3 different times, and they don't tell him how many other times he'd been out there. And this dude showed him how to do or lace his pot. Well, he left out. I'd send him a text, and he'd say, I'll be home tomorrow. Well, tomorrow come, he didn't come home. I'd send him a text, and you coming home? I'll be home, So Sunday night he comes in. I could tell he had been out and been rode hard and put up with it, old cowboy saying is. Well, I didn't have a good comeback other than you get your stuff in that knapsack that you brought your stuff in, and you go on up this road. You leave here. You're not staying here anymore. I told you not to do this stuff. I told you not to do this meth. I told you not to. Oh, I ain't doing meth. I ain't doing meth. I said, Manny, I know you are. I said, you're out of here. I've done all I can do. I'm done. I'm done trying. I'm done with your lying. I'm done with, I ain't selling nothing. I ain't doing, on and on and on. It was an awful argument. But I said, I'll tell you what. I'll get rid of this place and you ain't going to have nowhere to stay. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I said, I'll set it on fire. Like I said, I'm not proud of this. I don't want to tell it like I'm proud of it. But I took that towel and I lit it. I threw it on the middle of my bed. I told him, I said, right there sits the fire extinguisher. If you give a hoot about your old daddy, if you care anything about me, not, but even for yourself to have a place to be, you will stop this or you will turn around and leave here. We're done. You can put that fire out and we'll work on it. He just let her burn. But I really thought that maybe he would have enough of a conscience to put it out. I didn't know that he would. but I hoped. But this is where you lose your mind. Well, push me in a corner. Push me in a corner hard enough. I'm going to come out of that corner. I'm just born that way. I was down to my last stand. I mean, I had tried everything. I had talked till I was blue in the face. I had tried everything, going and doing and helping, and I just lost it. I lost it.
Welcome to my home. This is a 27-foot trailer. I put the wall to where I'd have a little storage room for all kind of whatnots and everything. My surfboard that I just brought home. I insulated it, made it to where it would work really good, and there went my plastic again. I didn't even think about it. Anyway, I made it to where I would have the room to put stuff outside, and then I ended up filling up this. But I didn't want anything but just what I had to have to live. And then when Mike passed away, I went back to selling a lot of the toys, and so here I am getting full again. That wall there, up against where my bed is, I thought, well, it looked good to make it more homey, but have you, instead of just a white wall with a carpet, you're going to sleep here, be nice to lay against that. You know, it just little things like that I'd done that made it more convenient, because I use a lot like the little lamp light, the LED stuff. I like that. Fix my heat under here and it really works good. And I built the door here over the regular trailer door so I could open it and leave it open for air, but plus see outside, kind of like a window instead of doing another window. Decided to go with toolboxes to do put store stuff in. This is all my like washcloths and sheets and stuff for the bed and anything else that I can stuff in there. This is my drawer, my little drawer for anything I need. You gotta have stuff, tack stuff up and all. Then this is the food drawer here, and I just filled it up. So I've got 2 hot plates. I'm big time. The one up there I got extra when I'm cooking beans or something, and they're gonna take a while. I'll put them up there, and I use this one for all my things that, I gotta watch down here close. The microwave, I just needed a small microwave. I don't use one a lot. Then I got my little refrigerator. I didn't want nothing big, and now I wish I had something bigger because it fills up fast. Got a freezer. And it works really extra good if you remember when you're buying not to overbuy. There's Tipsy, my pup. She's my girl. Uh-oh, come over and get a selfie. But she's my support. Since a lot of the family's gone and stuff, she's all I got, and I love her. She's just like a person. Oh yeah. My buddy Mike Hutchins, that just passed away, the one with all these toys. He had bought this, never wore it, had bought it, I don't exactly know when, but I was at his house getting a load of the toys here a little while ago, and they asked me did I want it because it wouldn't fit nobody there, but it actually fits me, and it's so cool. I mean, it feels so good to have it, knowing it was Mike's and knowing he liked it. And I mean, I just think one of these days I'll get to race something in it. But it's just an honor to have a friend like that, and then have the friends, his cousins. We've always been friends, but even become more friends since Mike's passing, because they understood what me and Mike meant to each other. We were brothers. 40 years of just us going racing, collecting toys. There are some really of the neatest old toys. I mean, just look at that. Those are brand new. I mean, but that many years old, between 50 and 70 years old, say, because I hadn't even took them out, because you can tell they're new, and I'm scared to take them out. I don't want to mess them up. They're so neat. But Mike, he we were kids and we loved every minute of everything that we done. I know there's been a lot of people say, oh, you know, y'all kind of obsessed with this stuff. I said, well, okay. There's a lot worse things to be obsessed with.
Mike Hutchins, he even told me that night, he said, well, that was stupid. I said, I can count on you to be honest, can't I, buddy? He said, well, it was. He said, but you was pushed in. He knowed the history and the story. He said, he pushed you as far as you could go before you fell off a cliff, didn't he? Yeah. And I said, I'm not proud of it. I said, well, it'll be okay. That maybe somewhere down the road, Manny will look back and say, boy, he was serious, wasn't he? He was trying to hit me. And that's what I want him to find. I love him. God knows. Lord, I love that little boy. I can see him back when that lady brought him in, that little old chubby cheeks. And I mean, he was he was something. And Daddy. First time I've ever been called Daddy. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. It was cool. And to me, Manny can learn how much I love him, what I would do. I would burn down my own place and have to start over at 62 years old. People's going to form their own opinion about what they want to form their opinion about. That's the beauty of being a human being. We touched on the things that I think is really important in my life. It's who turned me into who I am, turned me into what I am. I'm not good, far from good, far from any good at all. But I try really hard.
Satch Craig was somebody I wanted to mention. Satch used to be one of the IHR officials for years and years and years. I've known him and Renee was associated, and Satch, such a good-hearted guy, he suggested to do this. He started out the donations to help me get my, stuff, refrigerators and stuff, because when I lost everything, I lost everything. And, he helped out by just even mentioning it, and then it snowballed, as the old effect says. The gym rentals give me the trailer, and then Godspeed Ministry, picking up from the other side of it with people with donations. Renee and everybody there at Godspeed Ministry was just awesome to help me. People would send in the donations through their account, and it was just awesome. And next thing you know, every time I go to the post office, it would be a check in the mail.
Guy down in, I've never even been to the racetrack there in Coastal Plains. Ross Gold is his name. He's sponsored by this Big Guys or something barbecue. They sold barbecue at this racetrack the first night. Raised over $700 for me. They never met me. They never seen me. I was just a member of the drag racing family. They had another one over here at the lot. He said, oh, we ain't done yet. They went over to the lot, had a race. They raised over $2,000 for me. Now you tell me that ain't good God-fearing people. They didn't know me. They didn't know nothing about me. That's the Godspeed Ministry that turned them on to me. Now you tell me that ain't a blessing. You tell me that ain't got God in it. I'm going to tell you don't know much about God. Because God's going to provide. He's going to take care of you. But is that not, that's what we all got to start with. It's just like this ridge right here. We need a revival on this old ridge. We need that revival that revives everybody's heart to love each other. No matter what's happened, let's talk about it. If you don't talk about it, you can't fix it. And that's where with Manny, I just pray and hope and pray every day that Manny can see that it's so good to do good. It's so good to help other people. It's so good to be honest. But I hope that people will see that no matter what your body, your whatever you dealt in this life, and these people dealt a whole lot worse things than probably what I've got. I'm just hitting that surface. But if you let them control you and you let them tear yourself down, you ain't never going to be nothing but that person that had bad legs that didn't do nothing. As we will see later on about my racetrack. I took the tires and made a circle. Why? Why did you go to that trouble? Took tires and stacked them up and hung me some lights like he's up. Why did you do that? Fun. I can't go to the racetrack because don't seem like I can stay out that long. I'm just not able. But I can have fun. And invite anybody that wants to come out here and ride in a wheelchair right around. But that's my point. Don't quit. Don't give up. Just because you think you can't, don't let it make you a believer that you can't. Prove, not to people. You ain't never going to prove nothing to people. Am I going to prove to people that maybe see this, say, oh boy, he's such a good guy? No, that's doubters. Yourself. Prove to yourself that there ain't nothing that I can't do through God. I built that wall. I've done what I've done here. One piece at a time. Yes, if I was a millionaire, if I had a bank account out yonder, I'd still live like this right here. And you know why? Look at it now. I mean, it's nothing. But it's home. Home is what you make it. Home is what makes us who we are.
Take your time.
I just hope that Manny ever sees this or ever watches it or ever hears about it. I just hope that he can understand and see why I made the decisions I made.
That you don't need to be what they tell you to. Look alive. Keep your eyes open tonight. Know that you're going to have to fight to be ever more shackle free. If you're gonna burn